You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me. Well, hello, Murph.
Hello, AP.
Well, we're back in Parrot Talk Studios in the Just Go Bike podcast area.
Yeah.
And RAGBRAI HQ. I don't think I've ever.
That was a lot of words.
I don't think I've ever described it like that. But here we are together. We're having a good time. We're squawking at you.
We are. And today there is it's kind of like PTSD, but not really. But there is a heat advisory here in Iowa. And so it kind of reminds me of a couple of days of RAGBRAI.
Yeah. But luckily now we get the luxury of being able to go inside.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. And we have not one, not two, but three mascots today.
We do.
We have...
My boy Rex is here in the studio with us. So he's chilling on the ground with a stuffed animal toy.
Yes, he's actually snoozing right now. We're not going to wake him up because he's really, really loud when he starts barking.
So this one goes out to everybody who is asking me for Rex content on the ride.
He's here, yeah.
Yep.
And then we also have our very own Tamagotchis.
That's right.
I don't know that we've talked about these on the podcast.
I don't think we have either.
So will you explain why me and you both have Tamagotchis?
Okay, sure. And first of all, a Tamagotchi is sort of a digital pet that you carry around on a keychain. And I got the idea from the Tour de France, where the EF Easy Post riders each got a Tamagotchi to try to keep alive during the race. And I thought, you know what, that's kind of a fun challenge. So everyone on the social media team got a Tamagotchi. Me, Murph, Brian Powers, and Kim Sharp-Leba each got one.
Yeah.
And the challenge was to see who could keep theirs alive longest. Everyone would buy drinks for them at the end. And over the course of RAGBRAI, some died, some stayed alive. I'm not going to call anybody out, but I will say mine is still alive.
Yeah. Well, I will say mine is still alive. Actually, mine has been reborn.
That's right. They get old and then they pass on and they bring on the new generation.
Yeah.
Or they have children.
Yes.
But mine did not die because of neglect. It died because it got old. So.
And I think, when were these cool? Was it the early 2000s?
90s.
Oh, the 90s.
Yeah, I had when I was a kid.
Yeah. So, and it's a keychain.
Yeah.
And so I had mine on my bike, and then occasionally it would make little noises, and then I would have to pull over on my bike to feed it or put it to bed or whatever. So I thought it was crazy. I went through a couple phases where I was not a fan, but now I'm hooked.
Yeah. Now I will call Murph and she's like, what? I got to help my baby. Hold on. Or just this morning, she's like, mine got married.
Yeah, so mine got married and had a child. So.
We owe her some congratulations for that. So, yep.
Anyway.
It's been a fun adventure. And then by the end of the week, we were all too tired and no one bought drinks for anyone. But
we didn't. Yeah.
We did celebrate with each other and we had a good time.
And I think out of the 4 that started, I think 3 maybe are still alive. For sure 2.
For sure 2. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's going to fess up on that one, but we'll reconnect on the fall ride and we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So a couple topics before we get to this week's episode, which is more Tales from the Trail from riders. Let's talk about the Honor Flight.
Yeah. So Murph and my Honor Flight is coming up in maybe 2 months-ish.
Yep.
But in...
mid-October?
Yes, in mid-October. But in a couple of days, Murph and I will be going to our meeting where we're talking to Honor Flight leadership about what to expect. And we're getting basically filled in on...
And we get to meet our veterans.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty exciting. But one thing that goes along with the Honor Flight is that we bring letters to veterans expressing our gratitude and our thanks to them for serving in the military. Mm-hmm. And we need a couple more letters. So we would love it if any of you wanted to send in a submission. You can just write it generally to a veteran saying, if you have any thanks or any stories you'd like to share with them or any appreciation, it would be really awesome to share with the veterans. I think it would be kind of a cool twist to put or to bring 10 letters for each veteran, and we have 4 veterans. So we'll be writing our own letters, but there's no way that we can write 40 letters ourselves.
But we did, while we were on RAGBRAI, had the option for people to write letters, and they are amazing.
Yes.
So thank you for all of those.
Yes, we even had someone from Australia write a letter. We had kids, we had adults. It was really cool, but we could use a couple more. So if you'd like to send us a letter, please email it to justgobikepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll make it look nice and share it with the deserving veterans. So thanks to everyone who wrote a letter already, and we'd love any more letters that you'd care to share with us.
Yes.
So
okay.
looking forward to the honor flight experience.
Yes. Okay, so we're continuing our series on Tales from the Trail. If you haven't listened to the previous one, be sure to do that because they're just such great stories from people who experienced RAGBRAI 52. And we also, as we mentioned in the last episode, that we're reading a couple of emails from people, that may or may not want to be on the podcast, but they're just so meaningful. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah, why don't you go first this time?
Okay, so I found an email from Eric Carlson. So thank you, Eric, for emailing us. And he basically says, this year's RAGBRAI for me was both epic and emotional for a few reasons. I rode RAGBRAI the first time in 1995 with my dad when I was in college at Iowa State. 3 years ago, I rode with my son when he was in college at Iowa State. It felt like age and role reversal that year, and I had a blast bonding with my son and having that one-on-one time with him. How awesome is that?
Yeah, it's so special.
That's so cool. Thank
I love
you.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit of an email from someone named Donna Kirsten, and she's writing about her, I think it's her father. She says, Dennis Kirsten turned 80 in April. He has been doing all a part of RAGBRAI since 2008. This year, he set his sights on riding 80 miles, so an 80-mile goal for an 80-year-old. This he accomplished by riding from Iowa Falls to Cedar Falls to Olwine. He says his highlights are meeting people from all over the world to eating homemade pie as much as possible. I love it.
Same, buddy.
Yeah,
Same.
Dennis has the right attitude. I love that. So thank you, Donna, for sharing that story about Dennis. And Dennis, you rule.
All right, well, let's get to this week's episode. Well, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody where you're from?
I am Josh Seabury, and I am from Cedar Falls, Iowa.
Cedar Falls. So we literally biked to your home this year.
Yes, we live about a half mile from where the course came right through the town.
Ah, so that night in Cedar Falls, did you get to sleep in your own bed or did you choose to camp still?
I got my own bed.
That sounds awesome. Well, I know you have a pretty unique situation as far as RAGBRAI this year. So can you give us some hints on who you did the ride with this year?
So this year we rode with a new team, the Cedar Valley Youth Cycling Team. It's a nonprofit youth team out of Cedar Falls that is trying to emulate and spread the experience of Dream Team to another corner of the state.
Ah, and I'm sure most people know what Dream Team is, but do you want to give maybe the 30-second speech on what Dream Team is, at least to you?
So the experience within our group is to build leadership and empower the youth's confidence through responsibility with the workouts and the bicycling and the training regime, and try to show them that through constant effort, you can strive to achieve great things.
And how many youth did you have this year?
We had 5 youth for our first year.
Okay. So give us some, we all know how, as individuals, we trained to get prepped for RAGBRAI, and hopefully everyone trained, but what's it like when you have 5 youth who, in addition to your own training, you've got to figure out how to get them motivated to train so that they can bike 400 plus miles?
So a lot of it is definitely thinking ahead. You've got the nice thing about training with a team and having requirements for that team means you've already got your workouts pre-scheduled. 3 days a week, you're out there riding the miles. And then it's just a matter of planning the courses and looking at the total buildup across the whole season. especially despite this year being the shortest and flattest, or one of the shortest and flattest RAGBRAIs. You don't want to train for the easiest RAGBRAI. You want to train knowing that Iowa weather likes to throw curveballs, and so you're going to train a lot harder.
And it certainly did throw some curveballs this year, wouldn't you think?
Oh, yes. The hills and the headwinds wound up being a lot more than we were expecting on those first couple of days.
Yeah. Do you have any good memories about, the youth experiencing RAGBRAI, maybe for their first time?
They tackled every single obstacle with surprisingly a lot of enjoyment. Our training season was close to 1,400 miles for the youth who had near perfect attendance. And so when we got out there on the path, even on Century Day, where the heat index was pushing near 100 degrees, the kids still had plenty of time to enjoy the firemen battles with the big fire hoses and a couple of dunk tanks on the way. So they had trained to such an extent that we could slow down and enjoy RAGBRAI even on the longest days.
That's awesome. And what was the age range for the youth that you had?
13 to 18.
Oh, wow. Wow. I can't imagine when I was 13 if I would have had the discipline to train 3 times a week and then ride my bike in the heat, hills, and headwind.
The promise of a new bike at the end of RAGBRAI does help motivate a few people.
And how did that work? How did they get new bikes?
So the deal we made with our youth was they needed to complete at least 1,000 miles of our training program, and then they had to complete all of RAGBRAI. And then the youth who were donated new bikes at the start of season by Bike Tech then keep the bikes at the end of RAGBRAI.
Wow, that's impressive. I know that I saw you out there one day and your group was riding with the Dream Team. So tell us about that experience.
Yes, the Dream Team were our hosts for this whole training season. We did several practice campouts with them, and then we rode RAGBRAI as a joint unit, really for our benefit to learn how to do Dream Team, how to do a youth group across the entire state, but also to let both sets of youth really interact and become a coherent unit. And you could just see the friendships that were made between the youth. You could see the mentors from each team were equally important in taking care of the youth from both teams. I got to supervise many of the Dream Team youth, and they got to supervise many of my youth. And the bonds and connections that were forged between the two teams are like nothing you've ever experienced before, unless you've actually been part of that process.
And they all went through it together. So I can only imagine, like, if you can find some of these youth in, 5 years or 10 years to have them tell you how meaningful this experience was. Because I'm sure that they're going to remember this forever.
Yeah. And that's part of the goal, is we want to create those life-changing memories that they're going to look back on and say, hey, we did something awesome. We paired up with another group from the other side of the state, and we conquered Iowa's biggest kind of fitness challenge out there.
Right, right. Where do you see the future of the organization going?
Well, we're still in our kind of wrapping up our first year. So right now we're kind of going back through what went well, what didn't go so well. And we're making this a learning experience, especially for our team. And we're hoping we're going to grow a little bit larger next year. We're going to reach out to more local area schools. The Cedar Valley is a large enough area that we've got several different small rural towns that we can reach out to try to bring in a more diverse group of kids to expand the team and do it again next year. And hopefully this continues to become an annual tradition from the Cedar Valley.
Oh, for sure. And do you have like a website or a Facebook group that people can maybe follow along or cheer you on?
Yes, our Facebook is Cedar Valley Youth Cyclists. And that's where we post all of our updates, our different events that we do, and just where the youth are in their journey of fitness throughout the season.
What would you say, like, I don't know, maybe you don't have a favorite memory, but what are some like really good things that happened during the week?
I mean, one of the things I really enjoyed watching, one of our who's done the Karis loop before we made the team was able to do the Karis loop again this year. And the mixed team of Cedar Valley and Dream Team that was put together for that morning had 3 first-time kids it was their very first time ever trying to ride 100 miles. And the pairing, you could not have asked for a better group of kids. The youth who was leading, who had done the Karis loop a few times, this was his 3rd attempt, put himself at a perfect pace that the other 3 first-timers perfectly matched and formed one beautiful group that just tackled the entire century as one group, where me following from behind just to make sure everyone was doing okay could always see all 4 of the youth at the team all day, the entire day, and just watch them pull off what I would call almost a flawless century ride.
Wow. So if I'm hearing you right, you, like each morning, or I'm sure that you have it planned out ahead of time, but you have a smaller group that a mentor rides with, but then you also pair them with other youth that have either ridden before, or they kind of become youth mentors. Is that kind of the case?
Sometimes. So the Dream Team this year especially has tried a new program with junior mentors, is what they call them.
Oh, okay.
So every day the team was broken up into 11 to 13 different teams that consisted of 2 to 3 mentors, several junior mentors who'd done RAGBRAI before, and then several first-time students. And those were more or less randomized every day. Dream Team had their algorithms for how they pulled that together, and the pairings that they made with the students most days were absolutely fantastic, where you have teams that would really look out for each other and make sure, okay, we're missing this person, let's slow up so that they can catch up. Or you have the groups that everybody's the same skill level and they just power through and go town to town to town in beautiful formations. But everybody was always looking out for everybody, both on the student and the mentor side of things.
Love it. And I know I always saw, as you were coming into a community, like a town, you could see that must have been like, all right, Dream Team and Cedar Valley Cyclist Youth, when you get to the community, this is where you stand, and you get the rest of your group together. And you could just like feel the excitement in the group that was waiting for their co-bikers.
Yeah, and that was always the case. That was the goal, to make sure that no youth ever got lost. Is we always had very set plans for when we get to the community, everybody in the group stops right at the entrance to the town. You find a hopefully shady spot and you wait there until everybody gets there. If everybody's together, you still kind of pull over so you can talk about how you're going to go through the town. What vendors are you going to hit? How do you get lunch? Because we want to make sure that the youth can both see and enjoy the town. But some of those towns end up with a lot of people in them. So we also don't want to lose a youth in the midst of this crowd when they no longer have the big flag because they're not with their bike anymore. So there's a lot of strategizing that goes into how each town is handled. And Dream Team has done an amazing job over the last 28 years figuring out a good method for doing all of this.
It's nice to have that, like another organization that's been successful for you to follow in their footsteps.
Oh, yes. We could never have done this season at this level had Dream Team not been willing to tutor us and walk us through the process. And for that, we are eternally grateful for everything the leadership and the support has been teaching us the last 5 months.
Yeah. And in the end, you had 5 youth, hopefully dipping their tire in the Mississippi, but also you did RAGBRAI. And I'm assuming you've done RAGBRAI more than once.
This was my 5th RAGBRAI.
And so how was it for you?
Very different. Normally, I'm that get up at 5 a.m., hit the road by 6 a.m., and then I just kind of enjoy the towns, but I try to get done by well before the heat of the day comes through. So this was a very unique experience for me, making sure that the team I was with was handling their water correctly, was eating lunch correctly, taking care of everybody else's nutritional value along the way. And it meant we got in a little later in the evening, but overall, it was an extremely fun time for me to get to do this. And I made a lot of good connections with the youth from both teams.
Awesome. Well, I know I enjoyed seeing you guys out there and getting to talk to you as you were, pedaling your way across the state.
It's just one of those lifetime adventures that you do RAGBRAI once a year, so you know how good the rest of your life is.
Yes, exactly. Well, tell us one more time some social media connections or a website that people can look at.
So definitely the two places anybody should look at if they want to see how youth cycling in Iowa is going is both our website at the Cedar Valley Youth Cycling on Facebook, but also I highly encourage people to, if they haven't already, to follow the Dream Team Facebook page as well, because they post some amazing stories there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for taking on this task of, introducing 5 more youth to the world of cycling.
Of course, it's been great being here.
We will be right back.
At First Form, they're more than just supplements. They're built for performance, driven by purpose, and proud to fuel the RAGBRAI journey.
First Form helps real people earn real long-term results on the bike and beyond.
From clean energy to high-protein snacks that actually fuel you, they're here to keep you moving, recovering, and riding strong.
Come find the First Form team out on the route. Let's crush RAGBRAI together.
Now, back to the show.
Next up, I'd like to introduce Larry. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Murph.
I'm so glad that you came on the podcast to tell us a little bit about your RAGBRAI experience.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start out by telling everybody where you're from.
Well, I am originally from Lamars, Iowa, but I have spent most of my life in Texas, and I'm currently in New Braunfels, Texas, which is between San Antonio and Austin.
Okay. And Lamar's, I believe we have gone through there on RAGBRAI or started there. And isn't that a big ice cream place?
Yes, it is the ice cream capital of the world.
Oh my
I finally
gosh.
got to go back as part of this trip. I got to go to the visitor center, which I had never been to.
Oh, cool. Well, do you ride with, well, let me back up. Did you experience RAGBRAI LII this year?
Yes, I did. RAGBRAI 52. It was my first one.
Your first one? Oh my gosh, awesome. So who did you ride with? Were you solo or with a team or with family?
So I was riding solo with my wife driving my support vehicle.
And how did it go?
Well, I think overall it went really well. I had followed the training plan. I tried to follow the training plan, what Coach Ertl, put forward, that you need to do at least 1,000 training miles. So I did 1,200 training miles. I didn't really get beyond 135 miles per week. And then I never really got past 35 miles in one ride, but I was following the mantra that I saw many places is don't think of it as riding 70 miles all at once.
Yeah.
Think of it as riding 10 miles to the next town. And that really paid off for me.
Yeah, because I was going to say there were several days that were around 70 miles, but you're here to tell us about it. So I'm hoping that it was a successful RAGBRAI 52.
Yeah, it was successful. I made it the entire length, whatever it was, 405, 406 miles. And so I was thrilled. This was something that was a bucket list item for me when I was young, way back in the day, in the early RAGBRAI days. RAGBRAI came through Lamar's about a block from my house.
Oh, wow.
And and I was hooked. I went out and bought a new bike. And I always wanted to do it, but the stars did not align until this year, many, many years later.
Oh, wow. Well, when you wrote into us, you also submitted a YouTube video, which I watched and thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for sending that. But it's a great story if you want to share.
Yeah, well, one of the things when the route came out was I noticed that Titonka was on the route, not was a pass-through town, not an overnight town, and that is home of my grandparents who passed away decades ago, but still a special place in my heart because I had visited there many times, and they were lifetime farmers. But when they retired, they built their dream house in Titonka. And so I was pretty sure that that house would still be there. It was built probably in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was pretty sure the house would still be there. So when the exact route came out, I looked at the route versus where I remembered their house to be. And it was just a couple of blocks off the route. Of course,
nice.
It's a small town, less than 500 people. And so I was really excited to go by their house. And then when we rode into Titonka, I wanted to see if anybody would remember my grandparents, Yubi and Anna Meyer. And sure enough, the first guy that I went up to, an older guy named Jeff Carlton at the volunteer fire department stand, he not only knew my grandfather, but he was my grandfather's real estate agent and remembered his car as a fancy Buick Roadmaster. And that was a great story, too, because back in those days, people tended to be very brand loyal, and my grandfather was a die-hard Plymouth man back when there was Plymouth, part of Chrysler. And he moved to his dream house in the city, and the next thing we know, he bought a Buick, which surprised everybody. But it was his prize. And this guy, Jeff Carlton, remembered that and knew other details about him. And then he also confirmed directions to the house. And so I was able to ride a few miles off the route, had to ride around a little bit, but I eventually came across it, and it looked pretty much exactly the same. It was the same color and looked like it was in good shape and kept up well. And that was really, really exciting and very sentimental moment on the ride for me.
For sure. First off, to have the first person you speak to have that, strong of a connection with your grandparents, but then also to see that house. Now, did you ever visit in the 80s when you were younger?
Yeah, I visited that house many times, and it was funny because my grandmother and grandfather, like I said, they were farmers, and they lived in a pretty run-down farmhouse. Like the wind would blow through at night and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And so my grandmother kept plans for this house, which was it was a kind of built at the factory kind of house put together on the lot. So it wasn't a mansion or anything, but it was new and so advanced to them, and had a full basement and everything. And so they were so happy when they moved into that in retirement. And so I was there many times at that house, and just lots of great memories there. And to come back, on a bike, I never thought I would be biking to their house in Titonka.
Right. Okay, so I learned from being on this podcast and interviewing people from Titonka, the nickname for Titonka is Tyke, which stands for buffalo. Do you recall when you were in Titonka in the 80s if they also called it Tyke?
Oh, yes. My grandparents called it Tyke for short.
Really?
All the time. And they lived outside. They lived between Titonka and Wesley. And so my grandmother all the time would say, I've got to go to Tyke or whatever. And my father and his 3 siblings went to school in Titonka as well.
Okay. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was really cool. And then as part of this trip, I got to see my uncle, Uncle Jim, who is one of the 4 kids. And so that was really special. My dad had also previously passed away, but I got to see him for the first time in a while. And so he wanted to know all about my trip to Titonka because he hadn't been back in a while either.
Mm-hmm. The whole, just what RAGBRAI brings to all of us is so much more than just a bike ride. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's just so cool to go through, the whole state, at a slow pace, meet the locals, come across things and see things you never would, normally see if you were, driving by, on a freeway or, not paying attention
Mm-hmm.
to the road. There's just so many cool stories,
Mm-hmm.
and the people are so wholesome and helpful. My wife and I have a saying that, the kind of people in Iowa, they do the right thing because it's the Midwest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, I experienced that so many times. I mean, people are just so helpful and so happy.
Yeah. And then, so your wife is your support driver. So has a completely different day every day, meaning she sees different towns. She's on a different route. She's kind of in a caravan of all the other support vehicles. And then once you guys meet up in the evening, like, would you share stories of each of your days?
Oh yeah, definitely. She's a college professor, so she was working during the day and trying to find a good coffee shop or Wi-Fi connection to do that. And so she was trying to work. And then one thing we didn't anticipate, we knew could be a problem, is just the cell networks are overwhelmed.
Right.
When 20,000 people show up to a town of 1,000 people, and so we had to adjust to that, to make plans earlier in the day before all the riders show up, and you can't really text or call.
Right. It's interesting, over the years as I've done RAGBRAI, I've kind of learned that, if you're near a place that has internet, if you just kind of give it, like, just have another cup of coffee or wait another hour, once everybody clears out in the morning, then you can get, especially when I had work to do, you could stick around a little bit longer. So I'm sure she did the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So any advice you would give somebody who, you waited all these years to have your RAGBRAI experience, and it sounds like it was amazing and great. Any advice you'd give to someone who maybe hasn't done the ride and has the same thoughts as you?
Well, I'd say the main thing to me was just put the training in. And so if you follow the plan from Coach Ertl, which I guess is the official plan, it builds over time, and you can do it. I mean, it seems like a lot at first, but you can build up to it. And I'm so glad I did that and followed it as closely as I could. And that made a huge amount of difference, because once we got in the ride, like, I didn't know if I could handle 70 miles a day back to back. I was pretty sure I could do it once, but being able to do 70 miles back to back and, get up the next day and do another, 30, 40, 50, that was all because of training. And then I would say, just make sure, whatever bike you have, make sure that it's tuned up and in good order. And, that also paid off for me, that I had my bike in tip-top shape and had, thankfully had no issues. And then I think the other thing that's so important is hydrate.
Oh, yes.
And so have a hydration plan. Like, I had my favorite electrolyte drink ready to go, and salt tabs that I would take every once in a while. And then really started to love frozen popsicle sticks wherever I could find them.
Did you try the frozen grapes? I can't recall what town had them, but they had frozen grapes. They were so good.
I didn't come across that, but that would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started after the second day, I just started adopting I need to find something cold in every town
Yeah.
strategy. But I think just have fun, take your time, go with the flow. Like that's one of the greatest things about it is there is no, and we talked about this a lot, my wife and I, that, all of the pressure that you're normally under in, some kind of race or organized event is not there, because you start whenever you want, you finish whenever you want, you can stay someplace, within reason, as long as you want, until the sag wagon comes along or whatever.
Right.
And so that is very freeing, if you will, that you don't have to worry about, oh, I'm going to be late. Oh, I'm running late. It's like, you're going to start when you start, you're going to end when you end.
Yeah.
And then, like we were talking about, just, talk to people and meet all of the locals, because they have so many great stories, and they're so thrilled. Like, I knew this before being a, townsperson of where RAGBRAI has come through, but everybody's so thrilled to have RAGBRAI come through. And it's just really cool to have that reflected back to you as a RAGBRAI rider.
Well said. Well, Larry, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your story. And hopefully you'll get back to Titonka at some point in your life, or maybe even back to Lamar's.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll have to see, if I can do it again or do part of it again. But I'm glad that like I said, the stars aligned for this year to make it all possible for me to do it and, check off an item on my bucket list.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Murph.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike!
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.